At a time when tensions continue between Australia and China, it must be said that the new Foreign Minister Penny Wong and the Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles have said all the right things in trying to break the ice between the two countries. That doesn't mean ignoring the expansionism of China in our part of the world, and it doesn't mean we have to accept the boycott that China has imposed on certain Australian exports. But put in its simplest form, we do have to learn to live with China without provoking them, and we have to learn to seek other markets to accommodate our trade interests. Our dependence on China has been too overwhelming. And as we saw during the pandemic, we were unable to service our needs because we were relying on Chinese medical supplies. I might add the same thing applies to the energy debate. It's all very well to go on about solar and wind energy, but the turbines and the panels are made in China. We're exporting jobs, but equally putting at risk our supply chain if such dependence on China continues. Well, in all these things, we have to differentiate between the Chinese government and the Chinese people, many of whom have been readily and productively accepted into Australia. Nonetheless, it must be of concern today to learn that Chinese international students account for more than half of New South Wales University's overseas enrolments, after thousands more began courses last year, even as many remained offshore and learnt online. An Auditor-General's report tabled in the New South Wales Parliament this week said the pandemic had increased universities, plural, reliance on the Chinese market. The University of Sydney was the biggest beneficiary of Chinese students, accounting for 87% of its international student revenue last year. Indeed, Sydney University increased overseas enrolments by more than 40% last year. The Auditor-General's report further said that 43% of all universities' course fee revenue came from three countries: China, India and Nepal, 43%. The report cited 7 of the state's 10 public universities now record China as the leading source of overseas revenue. However, it'd be a mistake to believe that the issue is only one of cash flow, as universities worry what will happen to the revenue base if there were geopolitical changes or restrictions on visas or travel bans. Universities, typically worrying about the cash and not much else, cite cash flow as their concern. Well, we need to remember, it was only a couple of years ago that the editor of the Global Times, the leading Chinese Communist Party publication, described us as, quote, pieces of chewing gum on the sole of China's shoes. The Chinese ambassador in Germany warned that German cars could be, quote, deemed unsafe by Chinese authorities unless Huawei was given the green light.